Hello everyone, my name is Ankita Rani and I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering in Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. Today, now we discuss the topic how to distract the screen user from screen designing, and this topic comes under the subject human computer interface and the subject code is KCS 058. So basically the human computer interface, it gives the information about the interaction of human and computer. For example, if you are going for checking any website, so user can interact with the computer. So this is the best example and this is the very common example of human computer interface. So before we go about the how to distract the screen user, how to distract the user from screen designing, first of all, we have to know about the screen designing. So basically, screen designing describes the design of graphical user interfaces, and screen designing includes a wide variety of applications where screen or displays can be used as a part of human-machine interaction. So screen designing is basically a most important part of human machine interaction. Without screen designing, human machine interaction is not possible because the user can directly interact with the screen. So screen is the first medium through which the user can interact with the machines. So screen designing should be distinguished from the functions of a graphical user interface. So in screen designing, in human computer interface, we using the graphical user interface or web designing. Web designing basically gives the concept of the web applications, how the website is look, how the screen, how the window is looked. So screen designing has some characteristics which we have to follow when designing the screen. So a well-designed screen reflect the capabilities, needs and task of its user. Means a well-designed screen or a very well good screen is this who reflect the capabilities of the screen and who fulfill the need of the screen, means why the user want to use the screen and what goal, what objective of the users have for using any screen. Next is a well-designed screen is developed within the physical constraints imposed by the hardware on which it is displayed. So when you are designing a website, your basically the system is like desktop or mobile device. So basically the monitor is a hardware device on which our screen is shown. So there are the some physical constraint of using a screen when we are designing when the designer is creating a design or making the screen. So there are some physical constraints which we have to follow, which is imposed by the hardware on which it is displayed. So next, a well-designed screens effectively utilizes the capabilities of its controlling software. So while we making a screen, there are some controlling software like when we are using a button is comes under the operable controls, and there are some toolbars, they are also come under the operable controls. So they also effectively utilize the capabilities of the controlling software. Next, a well-designed screen achieves the business objective of the system for which the system is designed. So the goal of the screen designing is that we should also achieve the objective of the screen. Means why we use screen designing, why should we create a screen designing? So the goal, there are some business objective which we have to achieve while designing the screen designing. So next is human considerations in screen designing. So there are some human considerations, means human involvement in screen designing. For example, the designers are also come under the human considerations of screen designing. So the use of a screen and a system is affected by the many factors, like we have to check who are the users of a screen, what system like desktop, mobile, and tablet. So these are the devices in which we have a screen. So screen, windows. So when we are talking about the human computer interface, in this all computer has a screen. So use of a screen and a system is affected by the many factors. So these factors included the how much information is presented on a screen, means the user who uses the screen and the screen designer make ensure that the information is presented on the screen is relevant to the user and it is not irrelevant. How a screen is organized, means the organization of the screen means in a screen we have some buttons, like for example, if you have a OK button and if you have a cancel button, so the button is on the bottom right side, and if we have some important information or if we have some critical information, then this information is used on the top left of the screen. So next factor may be the language used on the screen. So which language we used on the screen? Basically we have to follow that the technical language is not used, because every user not know about the technical knowledge. So we preferred, basically we use the simple language, and which is useful for every user, for every age group. And the other factors included the distinctiveness of the screen components, means screen component, in the screen there are some screen component like their logo of the screen, text of the screen, graphics of the screen, buttons on the screen. So these are all the screen components. So we also make sure make sure that the relationship between the screen components is not overlapping. Next is a screen consistency with other screens. For example, if we have a website, so in website there are the multiple pages, like there are 4 or 5 pages. So in 4 or 5 pages we have to maintain a consistency, screen consistency. Screen consistency means when we are talking about the form. So in form there is a submit button, and we all know that the submit button is at the end of the page. So we have to make ensure that in the next page the submit button is also there in the end, not in the top of the. So it is the predictability that submit button in every pages is in the end of the page. So this is the screen consistency, means a relationship between the pages, like all pages are similar, like we use cancel button. So the position of the cancel button in all the pages is similar, not different positions. Next is next human consideration in screen design is, first let's look at what aspect of poor screen design can be distracting the user. For example, if you have a poor screen design, so this is also the main disadvantage of distraction of the user from the screen, because the screen design is poor and user does not understand what the user want and what the user objective. So what a user is looking for in good design, and the kind of things screen user do interacting with the system or a website. So screen designer has to make sure that what a user is looking in a good design. So the screen designer must know about the requirement, must know about the expectation of the screen user, means what we have to follow in making a good design, and what are the things, what are the disadvantages are there in the poor screen design, and how our website, how our screen is interacting with the users. So these all the things make sure the screen designer that these all terms fulfill the user's expectation. So next then we will address the principle of good design. So for making a good design, the screen designer have to follow the principles, basic principles. So next is the basic principles of screen design. There are some eight basic principles of screen design. First is the 3 questions all screen need to give an answer to. So first of all, when we come on the screen, there are basically the three questions which we come in the mind. First question is where am I, what I want to do, and how I navigate to the another page. So there are the basic questions which comes in the user mind when they first come in the on the screen. Next principle is the importance of visual hierarchy. Visual hierarchy means what the visually user look, means hierarchy of the system. Like you are using a different modules, so the modules have to follow the some hierarchy, and the hierarchy is look good in visual, and the hierarchy is visual pleasing to the user. Next is the copy is part of the design. Like when we are talking about the copywriting, so copywriting is also a part of the design, and we generally we think that the copywriting is not a part of the screen designer, but this is a topic, this is a part of the design. Next is conventions are important, we should use them. Conventions like traditions which we have to follow while making the screen, which we follow our ancestors, so we have to follow our tradition. Next basic principle is when designing for the mobile phone, we design for our hands too. So when we are designing the touch screen, so touch screen is used by our hands, by our fingers, so we must think about that when we are designing for the mobile phone or for the touch screen. The screen designer must think about that they are using for that they are designing for our hands, not for only for yeah, our eyes. It is also designed for our hands. So screen designer make sure that the designing for the touch screen have easily comfortable and easy to understand for every user. Next basic principle is pay attention to the effective surface area ratio. So when we are in this, we talking about the area of the screen, like full area of the screen. So we have to equally utilize uh, the area, full area of the screen. Next is aim at simplicity and transparency. So the our website or our screen designing should be very simple and make transparency and the transparent and efficient and interactive, so that the user of every age and from every background, like from the technical background, like from the non-technical background, the user can use your screen designing, use your screen, use your website very easily. Next principle is be careful with animation and motions. So when we are using the uh, animations in our screen designing, or when we are using the motions in our screen designing, so we have to very careful, because sometimes the animation distract the user, because the user does not wait about the animation, like what come next, what come next, and so on. So in this, the user distracted, and they also create some confusions. So be careful with the animations and motions when we are using in the screen designing, and the animation is look good, and through animation your website, your screen looks great. So now let's discuss these basic principles one by one. First is three guiding questions of screen designing. So when we arrive at a new screen, we are looking for the answer to three questions. Where am I means on which screen we have to come, we come. Next is what can I do here, means on what purpose, what my objective is. Uh, I'm using this screen. So next question is what can I do here, means what the purpose of using this screen. How can I move forward, means if you are using any website, if you are filling any form, so the next question which may arise in our mind is that how can I move forward. So these are the three basic questions which comes in the mind of the user when they are talking about the screen designing, or when the user uses first time the screen. Next is visual hierarchy and user experience. Visual hierarchy, in this we must take care about the user's eye, means the screen designing is visually pleasing to the user. So visual hierarchy is one of the most important parameter in screen design. We can rank the element of a given screen according to how they are, how they look, how they are emphasized. So in visual hierarchy, we must rank the element, like the rank is 1, 2, 3. Frequently use the element which frequently use, we can give the rank number 1, and the next is which can easily spot, means easily find, we can also give the rank number 2. So on the basis of frequency and on the basis of easily find on the screen and how the elements are emphasized on the screen, so through this we can rank the element with the help of the visual hierarchy. So this is what we call visual hierarchy, because in visual hierarchy we give the ranking of the elements, like in the level, in hierarchy we have some levels, level 0, level 1, level 2. So on this basis we can give the ranking. For example, the bold and highlighted element are at the top of the hierarchy and the tiny stashed elements at the bottom. Means highlighted element, the element which we used very frequently, we can put on the top of the hierarchy, and the small elements, tiny element, stashed element, the element which no use is longer, so this element we can put at the bottom of the visual hierarchy. Next is copywriting is part of the design process. So many designers think that writing is not in their job description, means text writing is not in the job description of the screen designers. But this could not be farther from the truth. Copywriting is a part of the design, because in copywriting there are the some logos of our company, like if you are talking about the company, if you are talking about any app, so when we are talking about the copyright, so copywriting is also a part of the design. Next is use conventions. Conventions means we have to follow the traditions. In this the user can predict. For example, if you are making a Word file, or if you are making a PPTs, Excel file, and if you are making a these files, so in this we already know that the first on top of the left, of the screen, first button is, your first toolbar is file, then next is home, then next is insert. So from many years we all see that we use this convention, so the user can easily predict then that first is file, then next is home, then next is insert. So we also use conventions, so it is very easy to understand for the user of any screen. So the web and the mobile world are the most recent achievement of humankind, but even during this short period of time, plenty of solutions were born which the majority of apps use in general. So when we are talking about the conventions in web and in the mobile world, we also follow the conventions of any device like mobile, like any website, like where you are talking about the desktop, mobile phone. So we have to follow the conventions. Next is, when designing for touch, we design for our hands too. So the screen is basically not only for the look, not only for the eyes of the user, it also for the fingers of the user, because nowadays we are using a touch screen when we are talking about the laptop, when we are talking about the mobile, means everywhere we use touch screen. So when designing for touch screen, the most important parameter is our own hand. So the screen designer must take care about that this is for our hand, so which we are using the product. We can only design an easy to use interface if we take into account the size of our hands and how they functions. So the screen design uh, through make sure that the this screen is easy to understand for every user, like the nowadays kids are using the mobile of touch screen, uh, the elders are using the mobiles of touch screen, laptops are of touch screen, so they are the very pleasing. So the user must make sure that the touch screen is pleasing for everyone and for comfortable and easy to use interface. So the screen designer has to provide easy to use interface. Next is effective surface area ratio. Effective surface area ratio means if you have a full screen, so full screen area is used, that the all content must not placed on the left side, the whole content must not placed on the right side. So we have to use the full screen, each and every part of the screen area, like left, right, top, bottom. So we use the every area of the screen. So during the screen design process, we have to work with the space at our disposal. The first obvious question to answer is for what device we should design, which depends on who we are designing our screens for. Design for your audience first, the masses second. So when we are designing, we have to follow that first the question which comes in our mind, that for what device we should design. Like for example, if you are talking about the mobile phone has a small screen. But when we are talking about the laptop and desktop, the screen size is bigger as compared to the mobile. So the screen designer first know about for what screen they are designed. So for mobile, they are using the small icons, or they using the parameters of the mobile device, and for the laptop or for the desktop they uses the bigger icons, bigger elements, and follow the parameters of the laptop or desktop. Next is simple and clear screen. Simple and clear screen means the screen is means not to use very bright colors in the screen, or not to use too many designing on the screen. So screen must be simple and the screen is very clear. The best user friendly interface are simple and clear. Interfaces like these are easy to understand. People get familiar with them easily. They get used to using them and feel joy when opening them the next time. So the simple and clear screen are the user friendly screen, so the user can enjoy while using this type of screen. Like they are easy to understand, and they are very simple, not complex, because in complex the user gets irritated, the user get distracted from the screen. So next time the user does not use your screen. So when opening the next time, so you have to make sure that the user can use your screen mm, very rapidly. And next is motion and animations. So in motions and animations, we can also use the animations in our screen designing. For example, UI animations are one of the most controversial area of screen design. So the best example of animation is UI animations. Many people just want to use animation because they look cool. By using the animation, our screen looks good, our screen looks cool. So that's why the screen designer can use the animations. But personally, I don't recommended that you are using the animations, because sometimes through animation the user can distracted from the screen. Others use them to communicate how the interface works or have some emotional impact on the user. So these are the things which these are the some principle which we have to follow while designing the screen element. So next is how to distract the screen user. There are the some points which through which the user can be distracted while using the screen designing. First is unclear captions and badly worded questions. Unclear captions means like captions which we are using in our screen are not clear, are not maybe they using a technical words, maybe they spelling mistake. So these are the some examples of unclear captions, badly worded questions. So these cause hesitation and rereading. In order to determine what is needed or must be provided, they may also be interpreted incorrectly, causing errors. So unclear through the badly worded questions, they create hesitation to the user, means means rereading. So the user can repeat it. So the reading repeat the text. So by repeating the text, by rereading the text, by rereading, by reusing the screen, the user can distracted or user can irritated. Next is improper type and graphic emphasis. So if you are using the graphic, so graphic is not a focus on the objective of the user. Next is improper type. The type of the screen is not a proper one. The type is improper. So important elements are hidden. Emphasis is drawn away from what is important to that which is not important. So we have to focus on that what is important to the user and what is not important, which is not important to the user. So we have to focus on what is important to that user. So important elements. So in this, if the important elements are hidden, the user can also be distracted. Next is misleading heading. Misleading heading means if you are using any website, so in this heading is misleading, means you are not going in a right direction. So through these headings the user can be misled. So through misleading the user can also distracted. These also create confusions and inhibit one's ability to see existing relationships. So through the misleading the user can go in a wrong direction. So by going through the wrong direction they also create some confusions, and they also questions the one's ability to see existing relationships. Next is irrelevant and unnecessary headings. Irrelevant and unnecessary heading means not important headings. Not important means which is not relevant to the user. Information request perceive to be irrelevant or unnecessary, means the information which you have to put on the screen is irrelevant, means it is not used by the user. So this is total useless. So the value of what one is doing is questioned. So irrelevant and through the irrelevant or unnecessary headings, the user can also distracted. Next is inefficient result. So inefficient result means information request that require one to backtrack and rethink a previous answer or look ahead to determine possible context. Inefficiency result and mistake increase. So in inefficient result that require one to backtrack, means the user have to rereading or rethink a previous answer. So next is clustered and cramped layout. So poor layout creates a bad initial impact and leads to more errors. It may easily cause system rejection. So when you are using the poor designing or clustered layout means everything is mess up, not clear. So poor layout also create a distraction to the user. Next is poor quality of presentation. Poor quality of presentation means the screen which you are present to the user is of poor quality. This also degrade the performance and slowing the user down and causing many errors, or this also distract the user because of the poor quality of presentation. So there are the some variety of distractions like legibility, appearance, arrangement, lack of design features, means you are not using a proper design, visual inconsistency in screen detail presentation and with the operating system, lack of restraint in the use of design features and element. So if you are using the overuse of 3D presentation, they can also distract the user. Overuse of too many bright colors. So in your website, if you are using multiple colors, they can also distract the user. So only use black and white color, or there are some 3 or 4 colors only. Next is poorly designed icons. If the icon is poorly designed, the user can distracted, because through the icon the user cannot understand which icon it is used for what purpose. Next is bad typography, means typing error, you are not typing properly. So bad typography is also a variety of distractions. So metaphors that are either overbearing or too cute, they also restricting the design options. So these are the some variety of distractions. There are also the some variety of distractions like numerous audio and visual interruptions. Numerous audio and visual interruptions means you are seeing that when you are using any website, there are some advertisement of video advertisement or audio advertisement. So through these advertisement the user can also distracted. Next is extensive visual clutter. Extensive visual clutter means cluster is the state in which access item or their representation or organization leads to a degradation of performance at some task. Clutter means all the items are placed in one location and not in a grouped form. So we prefer that all the items, all the screen elements must be in a group form. And next is poor information readability. Poor information readability means readability is a measure of how easy a piece of text is to read. Means how easily the user can read the piece of text. So sometimes if you are using a poor information readability, means the user have to reread the text. So the level of complexity of the text, its familiarity, legibility and typography all feed into how read your text is. So these are the variety of distraction. Incomprehensible screen components means the screen component are inorganized. Confusing and inefficient navigation means too many options are there. So because of too many options, the user can be confused. Confusing description of options, misuse of drop down menus, making your website difficult to backup. So next is inefficient operations, means improper planning, poor scheduling, poor supervision. The user can also distracted. Next is excessive or inefficient page scrolling, means excessive page scrolling means the user can confused, restless or impatient by continuously scrolling the page. Next is information overload. Information overload takes place when we are exposed to too much irrelevant information. So we must make sure that the information is relevant to the user, and we should avoid the irrelevant information. Because of irrelevant information, the user can confused or distracted. Next is design inconsistency. Design inconsistency means the screen should be consistent because every other element within your design create a pattern, and when the pattern is broken, means when the inconsistencies arrive, the user can distracted because the pattern is not followed. Next is outdated information. So we must make sure that the information in our website or in our screen must be up to date. So what screen users want? So the screen user want clean, clutter-free appearance, an obvious indication of what is being shown and what should be done with it. Means the user can show what is being shown and what should be done with it. Expected information located where it should be, a clear indication of what relates to what, plain and simple English. So we must prefer that we use the plain and simple English, and clear indication of when an action can make a permanent changes in the data. So these are all the things which user want in our screen. So what screen users do? So when interacting with the computer, a person identify a task to be performed or need to be fulfilled. So first of all, we have to identify the purpose, we have to identify the objective of what the user want, or what the task of the user which is need to be fulfilled. So the task may be very structured, including activities such as enter this data from this form into the system, answer a specific question, or collect the necessary information from a customer to make a reservation. Alternatively, the task may have some structure but also include more free form activities, including answer questions such as what is the best local rehabilitation program in which to enroll my client. So these are the types of some task or some objective of the user. So first of all, we have to identify a task. Next is decide how the task will be completed or the need fulfilled. So in the first point, we decide what objective we have. So in the next, what procedure we have to follow for accomplish the task. So for a structured or semi-structured task, set of transaction screen will be available. The proper transaction is identified and the relevant screen series retrieved. So to satisfy a general or vague need will require browsing or searching through screens that might possibly have relevance. Next is manipulate the computer's control. So computer control, like when you are using a button, keyboard, mouse, so we manipulate the computer's control. So to perform the task or satisfy the need, keyboard, mouse and other similar devices are used to select choices from the list, choose command to perform, key data into text box and so forth. Next is gather the necessary data, means we have to gather the necessary data which is related to the user's task. So using structured and semi-structured transaction screen, information is collected from its source, form, co-worker or a customer. Means there are some source from which we have to collect the information or necessary data. So this information is identified on the screen or placed on the screen through control manipulation. So this information is identified through the control manipulations like mouse, keyboard. So to satisfy a need may require following website links or down many paths. Next step is form judgment resulting in decision relevant to the task. So structured transactions will require minimal decision making. Has all the data been collected and is the data valid? Has the transaction been successfully accepted by the system? If not accepted, why not? So these are the some judgments which we have to take in at the end of the task. So other judgments like decisions such as semi-structured transaction in addition may require decisions such as which set of screen from all available should I use to complete this process, how much information is needed to complete the sale of this particular product, make a reservation in this hotel or complete the enrollment process for a specific program. So to satisfy a general need will require a decision like where should I look to get my answer, which link should I follow, is this all the information I need, how do I order it. So these are the some 5 steps which we have to follow, which the screen users want. So this is the how we discussed how to distract from the screen users. Thank you.